Hiya folks, how's it going? My name's Lexi and I really love tabletop games. So much so that we review one together here on the gaming table once a week, every week. I try to do so in under 10 minutes, so hopefully I can help you find your next game. If this at all sounds interesting to you, I encourage you to hit subscribe and keep watching today's video. For today's video, I need to really quickly thank the very kind folks of Chaosium, who have offered me a review copy for today's video. I'm always immensely grateful when people reach out to me and they want to show me what they've been working on. If you have a game that you have made and you would like to see it at the gaming table, please reach out to me. The best way to do so is via my email address in the description box. I'm finally kind of settling into my new house, so I am playing a bit of catch up with my emails, but I am hoping I can get back to people as quickly as possible. It does feel like a particular honor for a company like Chaosium to want to speak to such a small fish creator like me. It makes me feel very appreciated. So enough with me being all soft. Let's get to today's review. Today we are taking a look at Basic Roleplaying, a universal game engine. Basic Roleplaying actually began back in the 1980s. This was as a booklet inspired by the rules for the game of RuneQuest. It's gone through a few iterations, including the very well-known Gold Edition from 2010. There was a lot of hype and some high expectations for this manual, so I'm interested to see what we think of it. This game contains the base rule set for some of Chaosium's biggest titles like Call of Cthulhu, Pendragon, and RuneQuest. This book by principle does not come with a pre-written setting. They do, however, provide some suggestions for how you could adapt the rules of this book to play in different ideas and different backgrounds. You do get some detailed suggestions for settings like fantasy, historical, or superhero setting. You do then get a couple of short write-ups on how you could adapt this game for some more, I guess, obscure genres like pulp fiction. I do think it is a lot to be trying to cover this many genres, so I can understand why some write-ups are going to be shorter than others. Basic Roleplaying comes from Chaosium's very well-known D100 system. The broad strokes of building a character for the system begin generally with a concept that you then build the character around. You might start off with a concept, a name, and age. Then you roll some dice and do a bit of complicated maths to work out each character's stats. This generally for me is the hardest part of the D100 system. The character creation is quite involved, but once you have your character set up, most of the game is easy. Generally, when you encounter a challenge, you roll 2 d10s, one representing the tens and the other one your single digits. You roll that to see what score you get out of 100. You then compare that to the score on the relevant skill or stat on your character sheet. Generally, you want to be rolling under the number you have. I do every so often get a bit of choice paralysis in terms of what skills I should invest in when building a character, and I don't quite think this manual helps that. There's a lot packed in here, and sometimes the layout isn't very helpful in navigating what you should be looking for. If you're using this manual to play a game, you get a lot of optional rules, such as optional stats for things like sanity points. I do think the amount of optional rules in this game manual make it a little bit harder to navigate. I don't necessarily think this is a game manual for players though. I think this is a manual for game masters that players can use. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. You get all this detail and interesting options for your game, but that of course is going to give you more to flip through when you're trying to find what you're looking for. Something I really like about this particular manual is it sets out that you can change the total number of skill points your player characters can have to purchase to build up their skills depending on what feel of a game you're going for. It ranges from normal to superhuman. Most of the time in a D100 game, you are rolling for skills, so it makes sense in a game where you're rolling mostly for skills that characters can potentially have a larger pool of points to purchase more points in skills, or be better at more things. You do also get the option to add powers to your game. There's 5 categories that this manual sets out for those. Magic, which you normally are rolling percentile dice for. Mutations, which give you beyond human capabilities or features. Psychic abilities, which tend to be based around intelligence. Sorcery, which is a bit different to magic. It's mostly about the other characters trying to avoid falling for it. And superpowers, which allows your characters to do super cool stuff. I found it interesting that magic and sorcery have been divided into 2 separate categories. I don't entirely agree with that decision, but I think it might be the choice of words that has me raising an eyebrow. Of course, there's nothing stopping you skipping your characters having powers entirely and just having some squishy people to see what happens with the game. Playing a normal person in a somewhat extraordinary situation has some pretty cool roleplay potential. Basic role-playing feels like it should have a significant impact on the role-playing scene as we know it right now, but that's just my personal gut feeling. I'm not sure if I'm right. This manual's both significant in its scope, but I don't always think it explains its concepts and rules as well as it could. You get a lot of mechanics for covering different settings, from covering things like different artillery in different historical periods, all the way to different size categories for objects. There seems to be very little that isn't covered by this book in some way. There's also a bit of a guide of how to build mechanics for this system, should there not be an applicable one in the book. It does kind of feel like when you're looking through this book that the only limit is your own imagination. If you have been wanting to make your own game, basic role-playing may just be the engine for it. It's extremely versatile. And of course, for such a large tome claiming to be a universal role-playing system, that makes sense. Chaosium has published this game under an open gaming license, I think with the goal of attracting people to make their own games using this system. I do hope it actually attracts a lot of game designers to it to try their own thing. I think would be extremely interesting. I think if you are using this manual to run a game for your own table, you are going to need to be extremely clear about what sections you are using and what sections you are leaving behind. Perhaps photocopying a couple of pages and circling relevant parts, or using a lot of sticky tabs in your copy so people can jump to what is relevant. I think if you handed your player this tome and said, learn this, plenty of people would rightfully turn and want to run the other direction. You can get a copy of this book for around $50 US, which does include a PDF copy, which I think is essential for running the game itself. If you're not too sure yet, you could purchase a PDF copy for $30. Though if you're not sure a universal role-playing game is really your thing, I'm not sure if even that $30 is going to be an attractive price to pay. If you are looking to build your own game, I do think this manual and this role-playing system is going to be one that's worth checking out and considering. So that is basic role-playing, a universal game engine. What do you think? Is there a type of game you would really like to see being made with this system? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm also curious about your thoughts in general. What did you think of this game manual? While you're in the comments, I encourage you to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so YouTube tells you when I've next uploaded. If you really like, you could share this video with a friend or visit my Ko-Fi page. Any interaction with these videos actually tells YouTube that people should be seeing it, so they share it out more, which helps me feel like this is still worth doing. I want to say another thank you to the kind folks at Chaosium for sending me a copy of this manual to review. If you have a game you would like me to review, please feel free to reach out. I hope you're all well, and I look forward to seeing you next time at the gaming table. Bye!